What's up YouTube? Welcome to part 10 of my Predator cosplay series. Today I'm going to be making some Predator hands, gloves essentially, and also going to be making some feet out of EVA foam, leather, and some old shoes. And I want to give a special shout out and thanks to Donovan Powell for sending some really awesome reference photos that somehow were better than the ones I spent forever searching for. So thank you, I really do appreciate it. It really did help me finish this and kind of give me a guide along the rest of the way that I really did need. And also want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. We're about to hit 2,000. You're all awesome. I appreciate each and every one of you. Now let's go ahead and just jump right into the build. Okay, so Predator feet. I've already built one, the left one, and I had to build this one first and try it on and walk around to make sure that I could walk around. This would work. Otherwise, I'd start over at square one from scratch, and that wouldn't really be any fun. So this is the completed foot. Now understand the pattern set here is meant for my foot specifically. There's several ways you could go about this. You could skip the shoe altogether and not cut a hole in this and just make one solid pattern piece out of like 1/2 inch or even inch thick foam. Build the foot up on it, pat it enough that your foot fits inside, and just kind of slip it on and wear it. I wanted something with laces, so I took some old shoes that are severely beat up and already torn up and glued somewhat, and I traced the shape of the shoe in it, and you'll notice I put a split in it. That is so that I can still somewhat move this a little bit without completely stressing and tearing the foam constantly. I don't want to do that, so that's why that split's there. Now, keep in mind, if you purchase these patterns, and you don't have the same size shoe as me, which I doubt most people will unless you have the exact same size foot and model of shoe that has the same amount of wear. That's insane. You're not going to. You're probably going to have to either scale these up or scale them down. And trace your own actual shoe around in the center of this. Now, keep in mind that if you scale this up by 10% or 20% to fit your foot size, you need to scale up all of these other pattern pieces to the same amount so that everything matches. Now all that rambling and yada 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 is out of the way. First thing I'm going to do is use some contact cement and contact cement this around the sole, same as I've done on this one here, so that it matches up with the shape and curvature of the sole of my shoe. Okay, I have the right foot base attached, same as I did with the left, and I attached this with contact cement. This stuff is by DAP. The small bottles are about $4. I usually get the large ones. They run around 13 bucks. You get a lot more for the money. And before I start gluing all these together, you use the heat gun and individually heat and start shaping these pieces. Now the 1R, show you for example the 1L. You're just going to curve it a little bit and then glue this V. And then the 2R, which is essentially this weird offside toe thingy here. I did some of the curving here. You can see there is the 2L, and this is the 2R beside it. So basically all these rounded areas, the ends with the V's, are going to end in toes. So you kind of want to just heat and try to work that shape in. Okay? If you don't put the shape in it with the heat and just glue all these together, it's not going to quite look as good. Okay, you see the 5R has 2 toes, so I just kind of bend it like a W. And the 6, pretty simple, slight curve. That's it. Same thing with the 7, just curve it a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue all the V's together. Once I glue the V's together with contact cement, I will go back through and start with 1 and glue all these together. And finally, I will glue this side of 1 and this side of 7 together last. Right, all the pattern pieces have been glued together. And I had to do a little bit more heat forming because it was a little bit wonky, and boy, this number 6 was for some reason the hardest thing to get on. I kept wanting to separate, and like it actually took a lot of effort to do that. I'm not 100% sure why, honestly. But next thing I'm going to do, now that I have all this together, is I'm going to apply contact cement all around this edge, here and here, and also all along the top as well. Just around about 5 millimeters around the perimeter, just in case there's any funny contact surfaces here. And while I'm waiting on the contact cement to set in that 15 minutes, I've already started it here. I initially contact cemented this, but I've been going through with hot glue and super glue and reinforcing it. And I'm going to use some super glue. I already put some here, but I'm going to continue to add some while I wait on this to dry, as well as some hot glue, just to reinforce this. And then I will glue the two together. So as you could probably tell from the last clip there, these do function and work. I just have to make sure that my feet are spaced wide enough that I don't catch this on either side. And it's a little bit awkward. I don't know if you've ever watched Kevin Peter Hall from the original. Actually, it was Predator 2, I want to say, the behind-the-scenes footage of him trying on the costume and moving around in it. It's fluid and graceful, but there's a certain awkwardness to it, and now I understand that. So, now that that's done, next thing I'm doing is going to be some sanding. And I've already gone ahead and sanded one. I'll show you here for comparison some of the things I'm sanding. Seams, unsanded, not perfect, pretty good, but not great. Sanded, nice and smooth and even. The edges, all the way around, the entire piece. And even some of these seams on the side, especially on this number 6 piece, which on both ones was quite troublesome to put together. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and sand this other one, and we'll come back and start working on the claws and some of the other pieces for this. Okay, now that these are all sanded and smoothed off, I'm going to start moving on to some of the other pieces before I do the siliconing, which is, first of all, the large toenail. It kind of looks like a wonky guitar pick. And as you'll notice, I didn't really cut along the lines on any of these. I cut pretty wonky on it. I wanted to stay within the same general size, but since it's something natural, like, you know, living tissue, for example, and toenail, essentially, they're not going to be all exactly the same. And hopefully this can focus in here. You can see there's some lines in this. Before I heated these with the heat gun and pulled shape into them to curve them both this way and this way, I took my X-Acto knife and just made some few random short, medium, and long cuts up and down them to give them a little bit of texture. Okay, I have the large nails glued on. I used super glue, and I also glued on the small nail, this little back toe. And then on the side here, between the 7 and the 6 piece, you're going to have the ankle talon, which, much like the nails, I heated and shaped. And with this angled side towards the rear, it will be glued right on that seam. Alright, next I'm using the sandal center pattern piece. I'll trace one, flip it over, trace the other. They're pretty similar, but they're a little bit different, and it is side specific. And I went ahead and cut a T into this with my X-Acto knife, and then I used a heat gun to heat it and open it up. And now I'm going to go ahead and glue these in the center. This is optional. You don't have to do this if you just want to have straight Predator feet or you're using this for something else. Also cool. I guess you don't need that then, but what the point of this is, there's going to be a strap of leather once it's finished coming over either side, and one going down the center and one coming off the top. And the one coming off the top is actually going to have some Velcro attached to it, which is going to go to the shin guard boot plates, whatever you want to call them, that are going to be going up over my shins, up to my knee, and are going to be coming down slightly overlapping with this. And I'm going to help use that along with some inside Velcro to kind of hold that in place so I can move a little bit but still walk. Alrighty, next thing I'm doing is taking some puffy paint, and I'm using that to make some scaled ridges through here. And what I'm doing is making some thicker ones more towards the center. I want them consistent within a certain range, but I don't want them too consistent. Then it won't look like natural scales. Then I just do some smaller ones in between. And I've heard people tell me that there are actually precision applicators that you can get for the puff paint that helps it to be a little bit easier to apply. I haven't seen them. I don't really look at Hobby Lobby though either. I should probably check that out. Yeah, just like that. Basically all over. Same as I did here. Right as I'm waiting on the feet to dry, I'm going to start on some hands. And for these, I'm just using some generic work gloves that are, I believe, polyurethane covered. And these are polypropylene gloves. What I'm going to do to finish filling these in is I'm going to use some Monster liquid latex, and I'm just going to use an old paintbrush. I say old because anytime I end up putting this in some latex, it ruins it. Latex hardens pretty quick. I may not even be able to coat the whole thing before it hardens, but I'm obviously not just going to do it straight on the glove because the glove has to stretch to fit my hand, and I'm not going to just put the glove on my hand bare, obviously, because I would latex the glove to my hand. So I will be putting some disposable gloves on my hands first. In order to safely and easily pull this off, well, maybe not easily, but more easily, I cut off the tips of all the fingers. When you put on gloves like this and they fit tight to your hands, it creates kind of a vacuum, and it's hard to just slide them on or off. So I cut all the tips off so that air could flow through, so hopefully it will be much easier to take it off whenever I'm done. Okay, and here is the left hand all covered in the latex. As it was starting to set, I went back through and did some brush strokes vertically on the back side of the hand just to give it a little bit of texture when the light hits it. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process on the right hand once this one dries. Right now that the excuse me, Monster liquid latex is dried, I've taken some acrylic latex plus silicone from a company called DAP, D-A-P. It's called Alex Plus, is a particular product name. And I took it out of the caulking tube and put it in there. And I just used a brush to go ahead and spread that over it now that the latex is dried. Now, I have used a hair dryer on low to help speed up the whole drying process. And I'm going to go ahead and use that on this as well. And once I get both gloves done and these dry, we'll come back and do some painting and some other fun stuff. Okay, so I used some vinyl and fabric specialty coating once this was all dry, just to paint over it. I started off some gray, ran out of it, and had to switch to black to finish it. But I did that just so I could get a look at how it looked and the texture and see if I liked it up to this point, and I do. So the next step for these is going to be some Plastidip. Alright, so I put some texturing on the gloves, much like I did here with the puff paint. And while I'm waiting on that to dry so I can Plastidip them and add the claws, I'm going to go ahead and Plastidip up my feet. Alright, I took my claw pattern piece, which looks like this, and I cut out 10 total for all the fingers on the hands. And the two red ones here are the same as the white. They're all 3mm EVA foam. And once I glued the edges together, I trimmed off some of the little wonky excess on the end here, and then I used my heat gun to heat this up and stretch some shape into this. And these two are for the thumbnails, these two are for the pinkies, and the other ones I cut a little longer for the index, middle, and other fingers. Okay, the Plastidip has fully dried and cured on the feet, and of course I went through on the hands and did the same type of puff paint as I did on the feet for scales on the fingers and such. I glued on those claws and then went around them with some puff paint and then Plastidipped it. And this is the end result. Now, one of the unfortunate things about this is, and that Monster liquid latex, is this is eventually going to crack and deteriorate and wear out. And had I had more money, I probably just would have bought a nice set of polyurethane Predator hands, but I didn't have the money for that. Or maybe just had some custom made, but didn't have the money for that. So I think this is a good, suitable substitute. However, you know, like I say, this isn't going to last forever. So don't expect, you know, to make a set of gloves like this and have them last forever. So that is unfortunate, because now I got to airbrush these, and it's going to take a long time to airbrush this and all these little scales and such, but whatever. Okay, so first application of paint is going to be some more of the Duplicolor vinyl and fabric dye, and the specific color that I'm using is sand. You don't have to use this. I just like to start off with a tan color, and I happen to just have the vinyl and fabric specialty coating for painting certain plastics anyways, and it works just fine on, you know, rubberized surfaces like Plastidip. And this is also what I used on the abdominal and thighs. So if you've been following along with the various videos in this series, then this obviously will not be the first time that you have seen this. Okay, you'll notice here that I'm not giving it a full and direct coat. I'm just kind of speckling it and lightly putting this tan on so that you can still see the black through it. I don't want too much, but I don't want too little. I think that's actually, I'm going to call that right there pretty good. Right now the black is dried. I have some Wicked Colors Wicked Silver, and I'm going to use that as an overspray on the center plate here for the sandals. Okay, so I did a general overspray, and then right through the center on that T-piece, I highlighted it by just making it a little thicker. Alright, now that everything is painted, and I went and also took and cut some strips from a piece of scrap leather that I had lying around, and I used my contact cement to attach those so that it looks like I have sandal straps, and that's pretty much it. Alright, so that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I'm pretty happy with the way that everything came out. I think it all looks pretty good. The only thing I do kind of have a problem with is the right glove here. I had a few cracks in. I don't think that I got enough latex, enough layers of latex on it, unfortunately, and live and learn, I guess. So I don't know if I'm going to end up remaking it. It seems to be holding up fairly well so far, but I have a feeling I'm either going to either have to remake it or try to repair it by adding a few extra layers, but live and learn. So that's pretty much it for this video, and as always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel a lot, and I really do appreciate it. And as always, have a great day.